Welcome to Building Better Businesses. I'm Kristen Dees, founder of Catalyst Consulting, an agency that helps small businesses and entrepreneurs start, grow, and level up their businesses. This podcast will bring you interviews with experts in all things business related. Have questions for a business attorney? We've got answers. How about your health insurance? Got you covered there too. New episodes coming your way every week. Find us on the podcasting platform of your choice. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting. My guest today is Lisa Sigman, Esquire. Are you an Esquire? Is everyone an Esquire?
Technically, we are all, but only the pretentious ones use it.
I know, but that would be like the only reason why I'd go to law school is just to be like Esquire. I mean, probably make money or whatever, but.
Well, my favorite Esquire is, Bill and Ted's, when he's like, Bill Esquire.
Exactly. Lisa is a business attorney, and she's here to share some of her wizardry and wisdom with us. So thanks for joining me, Lisa.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. We met through the Polka Dot Powerhouse networking group. It's not a relationship building networking group. I forget where you're at. You're on the East Coast, aren't you?
I am in the suburbs of Boston.
Ah, okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, we met. It's one of the magical things about the pandemic, I think, is that we all got used to meeting each other from very far away. So that's how we connected. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a Bill and Ted fan, right?
Yeah, apparently.
So let's see, single mom, 2 girls, 8 and 12. I am hardcore Gen Xer, latchkey kid. So I was like built for the pandemic. I was like, stay home alone with nothing to eat but cereal and, Diet Coke. I'm fine.
Perfect.
And so I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for 15 years. And I have a practice with one partner, Erin, and we are primary care attorneys for your business and personal legal needs. So I work with small business owners as outsourced general counsel. My partner does estate planning, and our goal is no half-asset protection. We want to protect your business assets and your personal assets. And then we have parlayed that mission with another attorney, Tanya Shaw, in the No Legal, which is online legal templates for women-owned businesses. And again, we have estate planning templates as well. We focus on coaches right now, but we are going to branch into other industries. And I don't know, that's it. I have 2 dogs, which hopefully don't start barking while we're recording. And I have 2 kids outside in the pool. Hopefully don't come in screaming. And
Yeah. It's the work from home life.
Yeah.
Hopefully it all stays together.
It's like just a constant circus, like everyone else.
Yeah. What's a fun fact about you? What's something random that not a lot of people know about you?
All right. So this was, you want random. Here's totally random. I have Megan Fox thumbs, and you and your listeners can Google that later.
What was it? Megan Fox what?
Megan Fox thumbs.
Thumbs. Okay.
Yes.
You can
Google that later.
Writing that down. It's going to take me to a weird part of the internet.
And I have no responsibility for the rabbit hole that you put down for that. But a more relevant fun fact is the reason I decided to go to law school was I started in medicine. I worked as an MRI technologist. I hated patients, absolutely hated them. When I was growing up, it was like go into medicine because you'll always have a job, right? Like there's always going to be people always need healthcare, right? So it was a surefire thing. And I graduated high school in the early 90s, college in the mid-late 90s, and it was a tough economy. So having like a skill set when I left college as opposed to just a degree in philosophy was like super important. So I was an MRI technologist. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I hated the patients, and just nothing about it did I enjoy other than the science part of it. So I went to see Legally Blonde with a friend, also an MRI tech, and we both left that movie and we were like, we're going to go to law school because if she could do it, we could do it. Fast forward, here I am.
That's amazing.
The Reese Witherspoon is the reason I went to law school.
Yeah, that's great. There's probably at least one other person out there that went to law school because of Elle Woods. Like, there's got to be. It's got to be.
I mean, like,
she's an inspiration.
She was an inspiration. I mean, who doesn't
Yep.
love like an adorable blonde girl with a chihuahua like getting into Harvard? Like,
right?
Like,
yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, like it's hard. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, that's a good one. So on the work side of things, how much do you do like one-on-one legal advising versus like your other? How much time do you spend with people?
I hate people. No, well, I do, but I think the same amount that everybody hates people, right?
Yeah.
So I've been virtual. My practice has been virtual since inception. So, the rest of you are welcome to my world with your working from home woes. Like, this is all I've done. But so it's very much a personal relationship, actually. So I joke that I hate people, but clearly I don't. I've done nothing but service to people type jobs my whole life. So, I work with small businesses, but I get to know the owners or the managers very well. Being an attorney in this capacity is very much a personal relationship. So it's a lot of time with them. And, and then it's the work, right? The drafting, the filings, the whatever. But as important is just the relationship building and the understanding their needs and getting to know what their business plans are so that whatever work I do aligns with their growth plans and their mission and just their personality. I have some clients who want a very formal agreement. And then I have some who are like, can you please not use any legalese? Can you write it in as plain English as possible? And, I try to match the tone and tenor that my client's business has so that they feel comfortable with what we've done and also confident when they're handing it to, someone on the other side of that contract.
Mm-hmm. What's kind of your specialty? Is it just that like contracts? You said you work with coaches mostly, or
so in my firm, I will work with anyone across industries as long as it's not something that's heavily regulated that I would need to really know like the ins and outs of regulation. So, but any service-based business, even a brick and mortar, if it's a product-based business, I work with them. I did a lot of work early in my career with franchisees. So like people buying like a Cold Stone Creamery or a Massage Envy or something like that. So I actually got introduced to a variety of industries that way. So I worked with people in all kinds of sectors and which I really love because it meant learning a little bit something new every day. And for in the no legal, though, for the online legal template business, right now it's just focused on coaches. But the overall, I'm frozen. Am I there? I froze. Okay. The overall mission is to serve women business owners in general. So we would, like I said earlier, that we're going to continue to add industries. We're looking at like the wedding industry next. So we'll work on contracts and content for photographers and makeup artists and event planners. And then we want to work with digital service providers. So like VAs, social media managers, things like that, and get, contract packages and templates together for them as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing your own firm as opposed to working for another? Like, how did you kind of end up making that decision?
So I graduated law school in 2005, and that was on the heels of one of the largest, if not the largest law firm in Boston had broken up, and all of the partners and associates kind of went their own ways. And the landscape for getting a job was a little crazy because I was coming out of law school and I was competing with lateral hires, but for an entry-level associate position. So, I'd be competing against somebody who could actually bring a book of business versus me coming fresh out of law school that the only network I had was other law students and my law professors. So I was not really ever interested in that 50, 60, 70, 80 hour a week, partner path life anyway. And I just was like, you know what, I'm going to be my own boss. I just want to do this myself. And so I got sworn in December, and we threw up a website in January of 2006. And, my first law practice was born, and I just figured it out from there.
Nice.
And then Aaron and I got together and we started this practice, Nobles and Sigman. We started that about 4 years ago. So
That's crazy.
It was a wild ride. Like, they don't teach you how to be a lawyer in law school. You generally learn that on your first job.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. Yeah.
Tell me that part. And I was like, yeah, I could do this. It's fine. Full steam ahead. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, like it's hard. I actually interviewed another business attorney, and she has a very similar, she like got out, and I can't remember if she started working at a firm, or I think she might have done like, just kind of, she was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to work when I want to work. And I think her kids were smaller. They were starting a family. Like, so she's like, I was a stay-at-home mom attorney for quite a while, but she was able to, do what she wanted when she wanted to. And like you said, not have to work 80 hours a week and get paid
I mean, I say now it's so different than it was 15 years ago. Like, 15 years ago, what I did was probably a lot more radical than it is now. A lot of people just come straight out and do it. And it's because of that. It's because that partner track is so inflexible. It's not family friendly. There's some of the big firms that talk about now they have a mommy track, right? And that's where they try to accommodate, the fact that you want to have children and whatever. But it's not the same. Firm life is one thing, and then being your own boss life is totally different. Anyone that's interested to go in law school and becoming an attorney, like I encourage to think about other options. But like, the only option isn't going to a big firm. There are so many other options,
Yeah.
I'm doing two of them right now, right? I started my own practice with a partner, and it's a traditional law firm. It's just, we're doing it the way we want to do it. And then I have the No Legal, which is completely non-traditional way to offer legal services to people, because it's actually not a service anymore. It's a product. So it's very different. It's not, when we were talking about before we started recording, how it's like, even just running that business is wildly different. And it's a whole new learning experience for me. Yeah. But it's also something that translates well to my practice, because now I can tell people who are doing an e-commerce business, I'm like, oh, I've already made that mistake. So here, I'm going to save you the time. Don't do that.
Yeah. Here's what I just learned the hard way.
Hey, did you hear about this app that will save you hundreds of hours a month?
Yeah. It's wild. There's so much stuff out there too. It's just, you figure it out as you go, really, when you're doing stuff like that. But what are the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs making when it comes to the legal stuff?
They skip it. That is the biggest mistake, right? And I get it. I do get it, because and this is part of the impetus behind in the No Legal is legal's expensive. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Like, this is how I make a living. I know how much I cost, right? It's expensive. And for people starting a brand new business, it can just feel like you're hemorrhaging money. And so you have to start picking and choosing where you're putting your pennies. And legal can feel like such a blind item that they're like, nah, I'll put that off. The problem is preventative legal will always cost you less than reactive legal. And if you wait until you need it, you're in trouble, right? Like, because you're going to pay 2, 3, 4 times as much as you would have if you had just done what you could have to prevent whatever the catastrophe is, So a battle that I fight with people, online in the networking boards is, oh, I don't need an LLC, or, oh, I can do it myself. And, the whole point of an LLC is that sort of legal barrier between your personal assets and your business obligations and risks. And if you don't have that, then your personal assets are out there on the block. If something happens, a judgment comes against you, your personal assets are up for the taking. But if you have an LLC in place, that's a legal brick wall between the two, and nobody's allowed to cross that brick wall. So your personal assets are safe. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, you can just file it yourself online. Yeah, but that's only step one. And if you're not doing the other steps, then you only have one row of bricks, and anyone can just step right over that one row of bricks, right? Like, you want to build up your wall. You want to do everything. And part of that, sort of the pretty part is your insurance. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff in between, and it's, getting all your documentation in order, all your internal documentation. Just because you don't file it with the state doesn't mean you don't need it. But people think, well, I don't have to file it. Then who cares if I have it? Well, you're going to care when you don't have it, and they pierce that liability protection that you thought you had. And now that filing that you did by yourself, that was a waste. So you could have saved yourself the $200, $300, $500 that you spent doing it yourself. And they do that all to save maybe the $1,500 legal fee.
Yeah.
And I get it. I do, because, it's just, you hire someone to paint your house and it's $1,500 and you watch your house go from red to white and you see what you got, right? But you hire an attorney and at the end of your $1,500, you get a piece of paper that maybe you don't even read. And you're like, what did I get? But, so it's a lot of education to people about why they need it. But that's the biggest mistake, is they think that they can put it off, or that they don't need it, or that, a lot of them I hear, well, I don't make enough money for it to need it. But there's literally no dollar value where all of a sudden, like, okay, now someone's going to sue you. Someone can sue you. Something can happen before you even make your first sale. So it's never a monetary threshold on when you need to get legal involved.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I think it feels intimidating, and, like you said, like, what am I paying for again? Just like, it's not not as exciting as like a website or.
Yeah, because you don't get something in your hand tangible at the end. And you're right with the intimidating thing. Like, a lot of people too, even if they know they need it, they still avoid it because they feel like, well, I don't know what to ask. Mm-hmm. And that feeling of like not having knowledge, or like you feel a little impotent, and that it's embarrassing, right? Because you're like, well, and it's totally okay to not know. Like, you didn't go to law school. Nobody expects you to know what you need, but you go to an attorney and say, hey, I'm starting a business. What should I do to do it right? The attorney knows what you need, and they're going to tell you. And, one of the things that I really try to be cognizant of my clients is, again, that they don't know what they don't know. So I'm always trying to like make sure they're educated and understand it, what we're doing as we're doing it. And also I help them triage and prioritize. Like, if it were up to me, I'd be like, okay, we're going to do all 10 things and you're going to pay me, X amount of dollars and you're going to be good to go. But the reality is they don't have that money in the coffers. I can triage it for them and be like, look, this is what you absolutely should not start your business without. Think about this in the next 3 to 6 months. Think about getting this done before the end of the year, and sort of help them budget and plan. Mm-hmm. Have a plan in place on how we can get all their legal done in a timely manner, on budget, and in a way that's not going to overwhelm them.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's really, and it's hard though, because like, I mean, someone like you, you've always been kind of outside the box as far as, your own firm goes, but then it's hard to find people like you that are going to talk to you like a normal person, so I feel like there is a generation of new attorneys and lawyers or whatever, and that are more approachable. And it's not the old school suit corner office kind of situation. It's people like you that are just like, hey, like I'll help you. I want you to not get sued. Or if you do get sued, I want you to be as okay as you possibly can be. So here, I'll help you figure out what you need to do. Because for me, sometimes that's all I want is like if I know it's something that I don't have the money for right now, like say, like one thing I want to pay somebody for is to run my market or like my Facebook ads, my social media strategy for me. And it's going to be expensive, but they're good. And so I'm like, how much is this going to be so that I know and I can like mentally prepare, just like anything else, right? Saving for a vacation, saving for whatever else it is like, hey, this is what it means. This is when you want to do it. And here's how much it's going to cost when you want to do it. Yep. And then you're like, okay, all right. I feel like I have a plan.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
The old boys club, mahogany and leather, stodgy
cigars.
It still sticks to the practice of law. Mm-hmm. And the practice of law in and of itself is super slow to embrace change, to embrace technology. Part of that is driven because the court systems are also slow to embrace technology. So that sort of translates down to law firms are slow and then, it kind of is this domino effect. I don't litigate, so I don't really care what the courts are doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to meet my clients where they are and how they want to be met, right? So, I've been virtual forever. My clients love that. They don't want to have to drive 30 minutes to my office, mm-hmm. right? a 30-minute meeting takes 30 minutes. It's not 30 minutes plus 20 minutes of driving on either end, right? When I first started a billion years ago, it was my then fiance, then husband. Now he's my ex-husband, so we don't practice together anymore. But we started in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we certainly were not going to have clients come. I mean, my desk was like, I sat on my bed as a chair. I was like, certainly not inviting clients. Like, here, sit on the bed with me. Let's talk, So we parlayed that into, we were concierge attorneys that came to you, right? So from day one, I've always been trying to literally and figuratively meet the clients where they are. So virtually meeting is, we've been doing that before the pandemic because the clients like it. Or, if they really are like, I need to meet in person, like, okay, I'll come to you. Right. That's fine. And then we conceived of and launched in the No Legal. We're certainly not the first template company. I mean, immediately when I say that, you should be thinking Legalzoom, right? They're like the behemoth that does it. They would have paved the way. But right now you're seeing this influx of new business owners, and they're young, right? They're in their 30s or in their 20s. Like, they're the look it up on YouTube and figure it out how to do it yourself kids, right? And they don't want to go into stodgy mahogany desk lawyer that they have to book an appointment a month out between the hours of 9 and 5. Like, they want to do stuff early in the morning, right after they do their workout, or they want to do it late at night after they put their kids to bed, and they want to do it online, and they want it fast, and they want it instantaneous. So law has to meet them. You have to meet the client's needs. And for a long time, it's always been the other way, where I'm a lawyer and you're my client, and you have to work with me the way I work. And it's a super, super like stuck way of doing things. And I just think that law can be so much more accessible to people if we can change the way we do it. And there's a very big movement, and it's, again, with the younger lawyers, younger than myself, who are finding innovative ways to run their practices, getting rid of billable hours, offering subscription legal services, doing everything under a flat fee, templates, online legal, things like that are matching the way businesses run, the way clients want things done. And I'm excited to embrace that too, because it makes my life easier as an attorney, right? I'm not like trying to force a client like a square peg into a round hole. And, and it keeps it fresh for us too, like having to kind of evolve our practice. And so, and that's really where, my practice is still fairly traditional. So my clients in Massachusetts, but, we did switch to flat fee. We're not even doing billable anymore. And then in the No Legal is really sort of the disruptive new way of doing things, right? When you go online and you get your own template and you do it yourself. I got my dog wants to be in on this call.
Mine always does too. That's why I'm not at home. Like, I have to get out. That's too funny. Yep. See, Zoom life. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And the first time I encountered the like templates and stuff, and I was like, that's super cool, because I've used Legalzoom. I have a subscription right now to them, because every now and again I need to do some sort of something. Like, I've helped clients with like employment contracts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't, I could write something, but I'm not going to. So they have, stuff like that. It's kind of nice, but it's very generic. And even that kind of stuff too is like, I'm like, what am I sure? Do I need all this stuff? So having the templates that are specifically designed for your industry is great. Yeah. So it'll be cool to have more stuff on there right now, as it grows.
One of the things that we really took into consideration too is Legalzoom is kind of like, here's your document, best of luck, pat on the butt and send you out the door, right? We really included and incorporated an educational component to ours, so that from beginning to end, you completely understand what's going on. So it starts off with, what does this document even do? Like, what do the terms mean? And we walk you through, this section means this. This is here because of this. This section says this. Then we walk you through and we say, okay, this is all the pieces of information you should gather before you even sit down. Because what we don't want you to do is open up the template and then you have to jump up and go find this. And then you sit down and then so we, like a recipe, we're like, here are the ingredients.
Oh, nice.
The ingredients first. Then we step by step walk you through and say, at this section, you're going to pick option A or option B. In this section, you're going to fill in client's name, and we walk you through. And then the last bit is that we say, okay, now it's done. Go back and double check that, because we do color code it. We're like, go back and turn it all black because you don't want to get somebody like, purple and blue.
Yeah.
Right. Then, also if it is related to your website, run it by your webmaster. If it's, an estate plan that you just filled out, here's what you need to do to finalize it. If it's your client agreement, have it checked by an attorney in your state just to make sure there aren't any state laws that are applicable. And then here's how to use it. Here's how to use the document you just made. Here's what to do with it. And I don't think you get any of that from Legalzoom. You just get your document and you're in, you're out, and best of luck. Mm-hmm. One of my partners is a professor, so it was really important to her that we include this educational component, and also that we did it in a way that addressed different learning styles. So everything is in a written form and in a video form with audio. So depending on how you process information, it's there. Mm-hmm. Really, we want to be inclusive. We want to be easily accessible and understandable, because if you have a contract that you're nervous about or you don't understand or you're uncomfortable, you're not even going to use it. Mm-hmm. Right? You're just not going to. You're going to just put, okay, I filled it out, and then you're not going to ever give it to a client. Or, you give it to a client and they say, well, I don't want this section in. And you're like, oh, okay, well, what do I do? Like, you could go back and look at the video and be like, oh, that's what this means. And no, I can't take it out, and you don't have to worry or be confused or concerned. And that's super important to our mission. That was the whole point. Right. And that's what I do for my clients in person too, but just on a, one-on-one direct level. So instead of them getting videos of me, they get the real me. No animatronic me. Yeah. It's me.
Yeah, no, it's great too. Because I do the same thing with my online courses. I have video is my primary thing. I try to have a lot of video on my website in general, because I feel like otherwise, people don't get to know who you are at all. Like if it's just a website that's got some stock photos or lifestyle shoot, whatever, it's not the same kind of vibe. So I wanted to have that. And then all of my courses and then any of the resources that I offer have the same thing. It's me walking through whatever the thing is, page by page or whatever, explaining each of the things. This is how you want to use it. So yeah, I like that. I like that as well. So what are the top 3 frequently asked questions that you get that people come to you for?
I have clients ask me a lot if they can get an LLC or insurance. And I have to explain to them that that's not even the right question, because they're not interchangeable. They work together. I have clients ask me, how much money do I need to earn before I need an LLC? And that's not the right question either, because the primary function of an LLC is legal liability protection between the business and personal assets. So how much money you're earning is irrelevant. When the money matters is how you're making a tax election. And that's not even a legal question, that's a CPA question. But an LLC isn't for a tax benefit. That's like a benefit or a side effect of getting the LLC. The LLC is meant to be legal liability protection, but there's that benefit of you now have access, the ability to be elected to be taxed as a corporation, and then you have access to all these corporate tax benefits. And then I guess the third question, a lot of clients ask does the contract have to be so many pages, or can you make it short? Right? They all want these short contracts, and lawyers love words. We really do. Why say something in 2 words if you can say it in 12? You would think we get paid by the word. We don't. But I kind of like to talk about things that are above the line, below the line. Mm-hmm. The stuff that's above the line is the stuff that is specific to your business. And the stuff that's below the line is the don't touch it. It's the stuff no one reads, but it's literally the stuff that if you get sued is the part that matters. Yeah. So it's I'll put in something that says, this is the entire agreement between the parties. And people are like, well, duh, why do we need to say that? Like, obviously. And I'm like, well, but it's not obviously, because if you have 4 months of emails going back and forth, and, the emails say that you're going to pay $100 for 100 widgets, but then your contract is done and it's $100 for 40 widgets. And then you make the 40 widgets and your client's like, well, I'm not paying you $100. We agreed to $100, 100 widgets. That sentence, this is the entire agreement between the party, means that anything that happened beforehand, gone, doesn't count. So those emails are not evidence of a different agreement. What's in the agreement is what's in the agreement. So that's the below the line stuff. That's all the legalese that nobody wants, but has to be there. So, I do get the can you just make it shorter? And I'm like, well, I can make the font smaller.
Yeah, we expand the margins maybe.
Yeah, we do narrow margins.
Yeah.
But no, we can't get rid of anything that's, the below the line stuff. So those are my top 3, and I get it. Again, if it's a 4-page contract or a 20-page contract, it can get intimidating. And I do try to use plain English if it's especially if I have clients that are creatives.
Oh,
they want snappy, almost witty stuff. And I will try, but I don't want to go so fluffy that now we're undermining the legality. So, I try to walk a fine line. One of my tricks is that I'll be clever and witty with the above the line stuff. And then the below the line stuff, I make that section. This is the part my lawyer made me add. And then I go into the legalese. And that seems to actually go over well with the creative.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it leaves me the ability to write the language the way I know it needs to be. And I don't have to try to be pithy and, so that's a big one. Can you make it shorter?
Yeah. This is the part my lawyer made me add.
Yeah. So I have several clients who are creatives that they're like, so that's what I've done for them. And they're like, I love it.
Well, and I feel like it's like borrowing the black hat, kind of thing. If you get to be the bad guy, it's like, well, my lawyer, he said that I have to have this crap in here. This is all I really care about. And she says this is important. So whatever, that's what I pay her for. She's the one, she's making sure I'm doing smart stuff.
It does make them feel a little bit empowered because it feels like I'm there with them, right? Because it's I'm sort of indirectly referenced in the contract. Yeah. So not even it's by the way, I have an attorney.
Right. I have an attorney.
Don't try to mess with me. It's just a little bit of being their wing person, right? And honestly, I'm sure that their client or customer on the other end sees my lawyer made me add this, and then they just skip right down to the signature line. I'm not going to read that part.
Yeah, this is the part that if I try and sue this person, I'm going to be upset about, but I don't care. That's kind of, I like that too, because I was talking about that with somebody else not too long ago too, about how when people hire someone for their business, when they hire me as a consultant or a website person or whatever, it makes them feel so much more legit. They feel better and they're proud of that. When I meet with one of my clients a couple of them in person because they're local, obviously. I don't know why I had to qualify that. Anyway, moving on. So they'll be like, "Oh, this is my business consultant."
You're flying out to
just hopping over to Boston, coming back for the day. But they'll be like, "Oh, this is my business consultant. She helps me with all my stuff," and I'm like, it makes me feel fancy too. I'm like, I am. But it's just kind of a little extra boost, I think, too. So it feels, you just feel so much better if you're like, I have an attorney and they said that I have to put this in here. So
yeah. And that's true about having a good contract in place. Someone's running a business and they have a contract. It makes them feel legit.
Yeah.
As opposed to just I'm just going to send you a PayPal invoice and I'm going to be your coach. And that's it. That's how is that legit? Right. And you might be the most amazing, inspirational, motivational, ingenious coaches in the world. But if your entire agreement is your PayPal invoice or your Venmo, did Venmo even do? I don't even know. I'm so holding.
You're not supposed to use Venmo for business.
Business. Yeah. You look illegitimate. Mm-hmm. And if you're like, okay, I'm going to send over a contract, whether it's, paper in the mail or through DocuSign or one of those online e-sign apps, it's a well-written, legitimate contract, that just legitimizes your business. It shows that you're taking yourself seriously, and it shows that you're taking your clients seriously. Because, for coaches in particular, we made sure that in our agreements, it's setting up the terms, the expectations, the simple stuff like payment. When is payment due? How is payment accepted? What is the payment? Is this contract a one-off? Like, I'm coaching you for 3 months and we're done? Or is this like ongoing? And then you can set up expectations like all calls have to be scheduled. You get one-on-one meeting per week. If you're late to the meeting, you don't get to make up that time. If you're late 3 times, you forfeit the rest of the call. Whatever your policies are, but you make very clear expectations and you set boundaries of the behavior that you expect from a client. Like, do they have to do their homework assignment every week before the next meeting? We expect prompt payment. We expect prompt attendance. And then, for coaches, you're sharing intimate information, often both ways, right? So coaches will create their own IP, whether it's worksheets or workbooks or things like that. You don't want that person to turn around and take it and then start their own coaching business using your, creative materials. So you want to protect that. But also, if you're coaching a business or you're coaching someone in health, you're getting very private personal information. Your client wants to know that that's protected. So in your agreement, you'll have mutual non-disclosure. Like, I'm going to tell you my stuff and I'm not going to share that with anyone. And you're going to tell me your stuff and you're not going to share that with anyone. And those are important things to have. And it shows that you respect your client, you respect their business, and that you respect yourself. Because if you're not walking the walk, you can't really effectively talk the talk, right? And if you're not treating your business like a business, how are you coaching other people to run their business like a business? So, it is very much like a feather in your cap. Like, I have a legitimate contract and it's very clear and it's very concise and it protects us both in the ways that we both need to be protected. That is like super huge.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's even like, it's one of those things that's just kind of like the little things, like having your email be your website as opposed to like at Gmail, like those little things. Like, it's maybe a little bit of extra work up front and more cost up front, but it just gives you extra legitimacy as a business in general. I think like Gmail is fine. Lots of people do it, especially when you're just starting out and you got to do something and you got to have something that's separate from your personal stuff. And maybe you don't have the time or energy or money to deal with a website. Yeah, I get it. Like, there's all the million reasons, but it really does add just a little pinch of extra spice.
Especially if you're taking branding very seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're branding and you're pouring money into branding, we've worked with a branding consultant who is phenomenal, but she's not free. She's not cheap, right? Like, for us to have spent all this time working with her and money and then to be, in the no legal at Gmail.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And it is Gmail. We do use Gmail, but we use the Gmail business suite.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is Gmail, but it doesn't look like Gmail, right? Although I could rail on Gmail. I really don't like Gmail, but Google, they own us, but it's when you start getting like penny wise and pound foolish, like like, it's the details that really can make the difference, whether it's having that email or just having a well-written contract. And that means, and it's going to sound funny because I sound like I'm contradicting myself. You can't just go online and find something, right? What I'm talking about is, don't go online and Google the word free client agreement and then you just use the first one that comes up, right? Because number one, you have no idea if it applies to your situation. Number two, you don't know who wrote that. You don't know where it came from. Yeah. And number three, you don't have anyone explaining to you, okay, that's fine as a template basis, but here's where you need to change it. And you don't have anyone explaining to you what any of it means. Right. So in that sense, like, that's sort of where the end of DIY, the contracts that you can get through Legalzoom, or, through in the no legal, they were written by an attorney. Right. Although Legalzoom, I'm not entirely sure about that. I think they're written by attorneys, or at least they're reviewed by attorneys. I'm not entirely sure. But you can go to a credible attorney's legal template site, and at least it's attorney written. Like if you just Google and get something for free, you have no idea where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've seen online stuff where like literally it's contradicting itself, which means that it's useless.
Yeah.
Clause A says da 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 da, and then clause B says not da 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 da, and it's like, okay, well now what? This contract doesn't mean anything. So, it's you have to get good stuff in place, and you have to just it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, we're not expensive. We really priced low intentionally because we want to make it accessible. And we understand that we're competing for the business of these free places, right? Because if you can get it for free, why would you pay for it? But what you're getting for free isn't what you're getting if you pay for it. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. What's your absolute favorite thing to help business owners solve for? Like, what do you just like love?
What do I love? So I used to really like doing trademark work. That used to be one of my favorite things to do. I don't do it anymore because the USPTO has gone crazy. I don't even know what's happening over there. It used to take about 6 months. You'd put your application in and you hear back. Now it's upwards of a year. And it seems like a lot of their examiners are brand new. So the return responses you get don't make a lot of sense, or they're like overly wrought because, it's somebody that's brand new and trying to show that they know what they're doing. Oh. And it became really unenjoyable. But I really like, but that was like the discrete thing that I like to do. But just in general, I just really like working with these small businesses that are starting out and growing and having that team relationship with them, and that they comfortably and confidently will come back again and again with questions and issues, because then I know that I did it right the first time. I treated them right the first time. And when they, consider me a part of the team as opposed to someone they've hired, mm-hmm. I know I'm doing my job really well, right? My longest and oldest client, I got very early on, and they were 2 guys at 2 desks in 1 room. And now they have this massive space. They rent an entire floor in a building. They have like 20 something employees. Their revenue is like insane. And, just that I was a part of this and I was with them as they grew. Like I can't take credit for it, but just that I was there to help them along the way. Like I love that. Like love mm-hmm. it. Like I get very like motherly, like I'm so proud of you guys.
Yeah. No, it's great. That's one of the things that I like about what I do too, is the making the connection, and then people that I've worked with for a long time, or people that kind of come back when they need help with something different. It's just fun. It's fun to watch people grow their businesses, for sure.
You feel a little maternal about it, uh-huh. right?
Yeah.
You're like, I help them.
Oh, those little guys, they grow up so fast.
Yeah.
Or when they want to tell you something that they're really excited about, that they're just like, oh my God, guess what we just did? Like, totally crushed it. And you're like, yay, that's so exciting.
Yeah, and I do that with my coach. Like if something like awesome happens, I'll be like in the middle of the night, I'll like message you. I'll be like, I just landed the most biggest client ever. And and I'm like, I can't wait to tell my coach.
Yeah, exactly. It's so great. Like it really is that like validation kind of just being like, hey, like you're doing good, buddy. You got this. Like, it's okay. I like it.
Yeah.
What was my next question? So when people are looking for a business attorney, what advice would you give them about finding the right person to help them? And how do they know they're talking to someone who knows what they're doing?
So how someone knows what they're doing is tough, right? It's, again, a little bit like if we're admitted to the bar, we all went to law school, like the assumption is, you know what you're doing. I have to be honest, I've never had a client ask me, where did I go to school? How, like, what was my GPA? Like, they don't ask that stuff. You'll know someone knows what they're doing if other people are recommending them, right? Mm-hmm. If they're continually successful with other clients and other clients have been very happy with their service, you can trust that they know what they're doing. But I mean, you have to, there is a little bit of blind trust there. Go with your gut. If you talk to them and you're like, oh, they sound like an idiot, they're probably an idiot. Just move on, But I think the most important thing is it's a personal relationship, right? Because this is someone who's going to intimately know your business. and you're putting a lot of trust and faith into that they're going to help you protect it and grow it the right way. So when clients call me as an initial consultation, often I'll ask them, like, have you talked to another attorney? Have you called anyone else yet? And if they say no, I'll be like, okay, well, here's 2 that I would recommend. Not because I'm trying to dish the business off to someone else, but because everybody's budget's different. Every attorney bills differently. So, you may have budget considerations, but also it is that personal relationship. And, I'm Queen swears a lot. When I'm talking, I'm like dropping F-bombs and that may make a client uncomfortable. So they may not want to work with me, or another client may be like, that's my people.
That would be me. I'm like, oh my God, you swear? This is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. So, it's as much a personal relationship as it is a professional, especially for businesses where you're looking for an attorney that you're going to be able to return to again and again. And I have some clients that they come to me once, it's a one-off, and I never hear from them again, either because they just really never run into trouble, or because the business doesn't continue, or for whatever reason. So I do occasionally, I have some one-off clients, but most of my clients stay with me. And I don't think it's because they love how I write contracts. I think it's my sparkling, bubbly personality that keeps them coming back.
Yeah. And the
my
plethora of F-bombs, yeah. And your Megan Fox thumbs, which I Googled.
And my Megan Fox thumbs that you do have to Google.
I Googled them while you were talking about something. I'm sorry, I couldn't. Yeah. I looked at my notes and I was like, I have to know.
Yeah. I am deformed.
I have to know. Yeah. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is, though. They can Google it themselves. I think it's pretty
don't
interesting.
Judge. It's not my fault. It's genetic.
Yeah, it's genetic. Anyway, so
I can't believe that's what I opened with.
I know.
This is why my clients either love
This is my fun fact. Yeah.
I'm deformed.
I have the same deformity as Megan Fox. She's a babe, though. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, that's the next line is only the hot babes get those.
Yeah, right. You can't be perfect. It's just annoying if you're perfect.
Right.
Like gotta.
That's where God was like, all right, we'll put you even the playing field a little.
We'll give her something weird here.
You never get acrylic nails. So there.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. No, it's great. I mean, I'm weird too, so hopefully people know that at this point. I try to pretend to be a professional on my podcast, but
I find it's not worth it. More people are attracted to weird. They just don't.
Oh yeah,
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Weird's where it's at.
People are like, oh, that little weirdo. Okay, so as a business owner yourself, what advice would you give other business owners when it comes to running their business? I just said business like 6 times, but.
Well, you're going to SEO so well right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Keyword it up
on the transcript. Woo! Yeah. So, getting systems in place. And that's a lesson that it was hard learned for me that my coach really had to like hammer me over the head with. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I've been doing this over 15 years and there's things that I'm just now getting systems in place. And then getting the right help at the right time. I am very much screw it, I'll figure it out. I'll do it myself, which is fine. And it's certainly a learning process for some people. Like, that's the only way anything gets into my head. But it also means I'm losing time, right? Because time that I'm spending learning or trying to do everything myself is time that I'm not spending on something where there's more value for me. So if you can learn to prioritize and kind of get help for the stuff that it doesn't need to be you, then, that's huge because, me doing a bunch of admin stuff, it's not billable. I'm not making money, right? I only want to work part-time. So if part of my part-time is being spent on stuff that I can't earn money, then, that's not helping me. But if I can offload that to someone who I would pay less than I would earn in that same given time period, then that's just in an ROI basis, like offload it. Right? And I wish that's things that I wish I'd learned that earlier and I had employed that earlier, because now I look back, with those 2020 vision and that means something totally different now if you think about it, right?
Yeah, it really does.
But I look back with this now perfect vision where I'm like, wow, all of those billable hours lost that I'll never get back.
Yeah, because time is finite. Yeah.
It's gone, that I could have been earning money instead of like doing data entry for my my newsletter email list, things like that don't need your skill set, that don't need to be you. Learn how to ask for help, learn to find the right people to do it, and budget for it. That's something I would tell people early on, because you're in your business for whatever it is that you're passionate about and you're good at. And that's where you should be spending the bulk of your time. But what is it? The E-Myth, where it's like you're working in your business and on your business, or 5 Habits of Success. I don't know. It's one of those books, right? You don't have to be doing all the work on the business. Some of that stuff you can farm out, and you should farm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's business anyway, right? Everything is outsourced now.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out what you can afford to outsource financially, and what you can afford to outsource that it doesn't have to be you personally, and do it as early as you can. That's something I wish I had done 15 years ago.
And sometimes it's when it's still uncomfortable to do that too. Like when you get to the point, because like I keep running into where I'll get to a tipping point and I'm like, okay, so I'm capped out on how much time I have or how much time I want to spend doing something, but I'm also not at a point where it's like I don't have the extra yet, but I'm like, I'm just going to take the leap, and it's going to pay for itself. So that's happened a few times, and it's as long as you find the right people, like don't just go willy-nilly and pick the first VA that you come across. Cause I've had some challenges in that area, like, cause anybody can be a VA, just like anybody can design a website. That doesn't mean that they know what they're doing either. So, I mean, to your point, there's at least a gateway for attorneys. You had to pass a really shitty test. So,
well, I mean, some of the smartest, people that did great in law school, or that they're really intuitive and smart, like they didn't pass the bar. Yeah. And then there are some idiots that I'm like, I don't know how they tie their shoes in the morning, but now they're attorneys.
Yeah. It's like it's two different mindsets almost, which is kind of interesting that's how they measure whether or not you should be one, but it's fine. We don't have time to fix the whole.
It's something, right? It is something. It is, I'm not necessarily always a fan of gatekeeping, but where there's no other alternative, at least there's something, right? That if they pass the bar, it means something. It means they were good on a test.
Yeah, good job. They didn't pass out from test anxiety. Anyway, sorry, we just totally rabbit trailed us. What was my other question? Oh, what resources do you wish you'd known about? Like general, I mean, you kind of talked about like coaches and stuff like that, but any other resources that you wish you'd found out about earlier?
Well, it actually took me a long time to come around to coaching. I have to confession, let's have a taxi cab confession right here. There are so many bad coaches out there, right? Yeah. Again, because there's no standardization.
There's no gateway.
There's no bar exam, right? And I think for the longest time, I was only meeting these not good coaches that I was like, who needs a life coach? Who needs a business coach? This is nonsense. Like, cut it out, right? But now that I have one who's amazing, I'm like, oh my God, like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
Just for so many reasons, the accountability part alone, especially when you're if you're a solo business owner, having to be accountable to somebody else really keeps your butt in the seat. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to get distracted and like, oh, I'm going to do laundry today instead of whatever it is I actually need to be doing, and if I do that, okay. But then on Monday when I meet with my coach and she's like, did you get your da-da-da done? I'm like, no, but I did all my laundry, So, I wish I had embraced online resources now.
Yeah.
But they didn't exist 15 years ago either. Like maybe they weren't even around when I was there. There are so many grants out there for women that don't exist for men. Minority women, there's so many grants out there. You just have to dig a little. You just have to look a little. And, those are things that I hope that, young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs are looking for and researching, because if you can get a leg up, you can get a $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 grant. That can make a world of difference when you're launching.
Yeah. That's huge. I was gonna say there's lots of those. I'm actually a SCORE mentor, or I just finished doing my orientation stuff. So they have so many great resources. Their business plan template is great. It's one of the best ones I've come across. It actually literally explains everything, kind of like you were talking about, like to the like education, like explains what you need to fill out in each section and why it's important and in which order to do the stuff. Yeah, super helpful. There's the SBDC, which is a small business development center that's partially funded by the SBA. So yeah, tons of stuff out there.
And then there's like, smaller local regional ones.
Yeah,
that, so
your library.
Yeah, even the library, honestly, is a good resource. But I live near UMass Lowell, so they they have stuff for their students where they can do pitches, like they can come up with a business idea and do a pitch and get judged. And then there's E4All, and E4All has regionals. I don't know if it's nationally, but there's more than one out here. So there's an E4All in Lowell, and it's it's a course you apply to get in. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And they help you develop your business plan. And then at the end you pitch it. And then based on your pitch, you win a grant. So it might be $500, $1,000, or $5,000. And it's, depending on how good your pitch is and how good your business idea is. And that's an organization that I'm actually now reaching out to get involved with as a volunteer to help, judge or mentor these. I don't think they call themselves students, but they're students because it's a course. It's like a 12-week course. There's stuff like that all over the place. You just, the interwebs are a wonderful thing. Like you can get on that thing and Google and find resources that they didn't even exist before, or if they did, there was just no way to find them.
Yeah. You had to like find the person.
No internet. Right. So, I mean, it's definitely, just do a minimal amount of research and you'll find amazing resources. The SBA is a super great starting point, even if you don't think you're going to borrow money, because they will link you to other resources.
Yep. Yeah, they have decent stuff on there too. Like they have all the business planning stuff and all different kinds of things too. So, cool. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. So tell us how we can support you. Where do people find you on the internet? How do people stalk you?
So, on the interwebs.
Interwebs, yep.
So if they're based in Massachusetts and they are a small business owner in search of an attorney or an estate plan, and they like concierge service, they want that one-on-one relationship, then definitely noblesandsigman.com. It's all one word. Myself and my partner, we're super accessible, and we're sort of your anti-lawyer. I think we try not to be stodgy and anything like that. And if you're more of a DIY and you don't really want to deal with an attorney, I get it. Attorneys are the worst. You can go to intheknowlegal.com. Right now we have business templates for coaches, with more coming, but we also have estate planning templates. We call it personal legal, and that's suitable for anyone. And we have them set up in packages, whether you're single, a single parent, or married with children. So if you fall into any of those three categories, we have plans already built for you, everything you would need to get an adequate estate plan in place. Okay,
very cool. Yeah, estate planning is that's a whole nother beast too. Very cool. And I have a coupon code for your intheknowlegal.com. So it's 10% off any single item, which can be a package or just one single template. And that is BBBCC, like Building Better Businesses Catalyst Consulting, 10, BBBCC 10. And you guys can use that and get 10% off. And then I'll also post the link in the, let's say comments. I mean, probably also the comments, but the show notes, whatever, social media, that'll be in there too. So yeah. Any last things that you thought of before we wrap up?
No, this was good. And we covered a lot.
It was good.
Good questions.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things. I was like, man, you're like my third business attorney. I'm like, crap, I gotta change this up a little bit here. So no, I'm glad. Very cool. Well, thanks for joining me, and enjoy wrangling your household as soon as we're done.
Well, we almost made it to the end.
Yeah, so close. Yeah, 53 minutes. Real close. It's great. Well, have a good rest of your day then.
You too. And thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, of course.